And joining us here on the Sports Rapid is Jake Ciely, the senior writer for RotoExperts.com. He's been with us all season long talking fantasy football. Jake, the Patriots are obviously downplaying the reports of trouble in paradise. They're big favorites against the Titans. What does Tennessee have to do to have any shot in this game? 13.5-point underdogs.
Yeah, they have to put 12 men on the field, on offense and defense, honestly. Really, if you look at it, the biggest problem here, too, is DeMarco Murray's out for the Titans, which doesn't seem like a huge problem because he hasn't been a huge factor a lot of the season, but they struggle against pass-catching running backs. So now you can just hone in on Derrick Henry and you ask Marcus Mariota to beat the Patriots, and they're smart enough to put the ball in Mariota's hands and say, yay, you come out here and beat us. It's just not going to happen. I actually think the Patriots cover this spread, honestly.
Is this a mature enough New England locker room that these distractions are not going to be a factor?
It's the Patriots. I would say there's a few organizations, and they are one of them, where distractions are nothing else. And more than anything, it's kind of been a season where it's like, hey, what's the motivating factor? This all is like, hey, you guys are distracted. I think it's actually going to turn into, all right, fine, we'll show you how distracted we are, and they're going to come out and win like 30-10 or something like that.
And they are the defending Super Bowl champs. That game is tomorrow night. The early game on Wavy, the top seed in the NFC, the Philadelphia Eagles, hosting the Falcons. The Eagles, 3-point underdogs. The first time that a 6 seed has been favored over a top seed in history. And I would imagine a lot of that has to do with Carson Wentz being out and not a lot of respect for Nick Foles.
No, Nick Foles looked good against the Giants defense, but the Giants defense has been problematic the entire year. Everybody's been looking good against the Giants defense. The 2 games since and everything that you've seen from Foles doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. I think they're getting a little bit disrespected too. I find it hard that they're a 3-point underdog. I think the Falcons have a better look. They've gotten on track. This is the team that was in the Super Bowl last year. But the problem with Nick Foles, too, is he's not connecting with Alshon Jeffrey, who's their biggest wide receiver, the biggest play that they got, and things just aren't clicking. If that's not clicking, Nelson Aguilar and Zach Ertz, all the rest of them could do all they want. But if that's not happening this week, you don't have an answer for Julio Jones if Jeffrey's not showing up.
And if they don't respect Foles passing, there could be 8 in the box, and the running game won't get going.
And the running game hasn't been that great anyway. Jay has a great yards per carry, but there's no consistency here. As if you look at it, Peterson's using all 4 running backs, and when he gets to the goal line, Ajayi comes out of the game. So if you're doing like DFS, if you're playing any of that kind of fantasy this weekend, you can't even trust a running back on this team.
All right, now to Sunday's games, the early contest, the Jaguars against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh favored by 7. A lot of people are down on Jags quarterback Blake Bortles. Do you think the Jags have any kind of a shot here?
I actually think they do. Look, they beat the Steelers earlier this year, and they were pretty handily beaten earlier this year. It was Ben Roethlisberger, the 5 interceptions. It's all about that. It's the defense. If Blake Bortles, you can't come out and rush for more than you pass again this week and expect to win this game. That's just not going to happen. But the thing is, they can turn to Leonard Fournette because the Steelers are susceptible to the run. And if that defense shows up like they did earlier this year, you don't need 5 interceptions from Ben Roethlisberger. But if you can keep him in check, Antonio Brown, with him not being 100% and the big question mark of just how effective he will be, I think they have a chance. I think they cover that spread. I still say the Steelers, though, at home, but I think it'll be closer than people think.
And the late game on Sunday, right here on Fox 43, the Saints against the Vikings. Minnesota favored by 5. Vikings quarterback Case Keenum has been one of the big surprises in the league this year. How do you see this game going?
I actually took the Saints to go all the way to the Super Bowl, so I have to take the Saints here.
Right into the finish line.
All the way, to go the whole way. I think it's going to be a struggle for the Vikings to stay with the Saints offensively. You know, Case Keenum, you talk about his emotion, he can sometimes let that kind of get him off kilter. And if you look at with the Saints, the defense has been playing a lot better in the second half of the season. Marshawn Lattimore has been somebody who can shut down opposing wide receivers. If they struggle at all moving the ball, unless the Vikings come out and just run, and just control the game from the jump off, you got to keep the Saints under 20 points. Otherwise, I really think the Saints are going to take this game.
Jake Ciely is a football aficionado. Jake, where can we find you with your internet radio broadcasts?
You can download the Fantasy Radio app. It's FNTSY Radio, and that's the app. You can download it iTunes, Google Play, and listen to it anytime you want.
Jake Ciely is on Twitter, @the All In Kid. Jake, thanks for joining us.
Always.
Big weekend of NFL football.
Yep.